Hey friends, it's Mrs. Ross, and I'm here with a caterpillar update. So, our caterpillars were all starting to crawl around, and pretty soon they go up to the top of the cup and they started hanging there. And they're hanging just like the letter J. You might have already heard Mrs. Stump's story this week. One of them was a nonfiction book about caterpillars. And in that book, it talks about how when the caterpillar is ready to go into its chrysalis stage, it hangs and it looks like the letter J. So you'll notice that I've got a couple of caterpillars that are hanging. There's one still climbing up this side and one that's on the bottom. And one of the chrysalises already formed and it fell down. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the video. Then you might notice that there down at the bottom, there's a bunch of little things, like there's little black marks and different things. That's where they're shedding. It's called molting, and they kind of take off part of their skin so that they can grow a little bit more. So then the next thing that I need to do is move these caterpillars, because once they completely go into a chrysalis stage and they're all formed, then they are going to hatch in there, hatch out of their chrysalis in there, and there wouldn't be enough room for them. So I have a butterfly net, and I got a little plastic spoon so that I could take the one or two little chrysalises that fell down and put them into the container. It's kind of cool when they're in the chrysalis stage and they're hanging from the top. If the cup moves a little bit, the little creatures that are inside there they're trying to save themselves, and they don't want a predator to come and get them. So they start wiggling really fast and they're just moving. So the whole chrysalis starts moving and shaking all by itself. It's pretty cool. So what I do is I just very carefully take the lid off, because we don't want any more of those chrysalises to fall on the ground. They hatch much better when they're hanging. Their wings come out very crumpled and soft, like you read in the story with Mrs. Stump. And we want them to have as much room as they can. If they're on the ground, they don't have as much room, so sometimes they don't make it. So I carefully take the paper off of there, and sometimes it comes with a little stand that you can put it on, and sometimes I just tape or pin that piece to the side of the net on the inside. But this one I have a little stand, so I took the lid and I propped it inside in the little stand. And then I have to very carefully get that little chrysalis that fell down out. And so sometimes I use a tweezers, but this one I just had a plastic spoon handy, so I use the plastic spoon to pull that out, and I'll set it on the floor down there at the bottom of the net, but then I'll put some sticks and twigs and things propped up close by, so that when it does hatch, it'll want to pump its wings and get all the blood flowing and the wings stretched out and dried. And so I'll put those sticks in there so that they'll have an opportunity to spread their wings and dry out a little bit. Now you might notice on the side of the butterfly net, there's this big red mark. And that's where I had last year, I pinned up the little container paper lid thing that comes with it. I pinned that up to the side. And then all of a sudden one day the kid said, "Oh no, there's blood coming out and it's dripping down." And we read in one of the books that it's not blood. It's actually the dye from their wings. Because remember, a painted lady butterfly, the colors that it has are very similar to the monarch butterfly that we read about with Mrs. Stump. And the orangish color, when the butterflies are creating their wings and they're doing their stuff inside their chrysalis and they're ready to hatch out, they might have a little bit of extra dye in there. And so when they hatch out, that dye kind of spills out and it looks like blood and it looks scary, but it's not. It's not their blood. It is just like paint. It's almost like it's like paint for their wings. So that's where we're at right now with our caterpillars, and they have gone into their chrysalis stage. They're safely inside the net, and now we'll just wait and see what happens next. We'll see you later.